And now a game changer. For the first time, Donald Trump hosted the leaders of all 5 Central Asian nations in what's being seen as America's boldest move yet to challenge the grip of both Russia and China in this resource-rich region. And the optics said it all. 5 presidents from a region long overshadowed by Moscow's influence and bound by Beijing's trade corridors now seated in the White House's East Room beside President Trump. He called Central Asia an extremely wealthy region, emphasizing one of the key agendas of the meeting, rare earth minerals.
One of the key items on our agenda is critical minerals. In recent weeks, my administration has strengthened American economic security by forging agreements with allies and friends across the world to broaden our critical mineral supply chains. We had a great relationship and a great meeting with President Xi of China.
But behind the smiles and handshakes lies a growing competition, a 3-way struggle between Washington, Moscow, and Beijing to control Central Asia's vast natural resources. At the heart of this rivalry are critical minerals, uranium, copper, gold, and other rare earth minerals. Today, Beijing controls nearly 70% of rare earth mining and 90% of global processing. Central Asia, sitting quietly at the crossroads of empires, suddenly finds itself at the center of that global scramble. The region is rich in resources, but exploiting these giant reserves remains complicated. It's because the region is sandwiched between the countries that have strained relations with the West, with Russia to the north, China to the east, and Iran and Afghanistan to the south. Kazakhstan alone produces about 40% of the world's uranium, and its neighbor Uzbekistan ranks among the top 5 producers, and together they supply over half the world's uranium. Yet until now, most of their mineral exports have flowed not to the United States, but to China and Russia. In 2023 alone, Kazakhstan sent more than $3 billion in critical minerals to China and nearly $2 billion to Russia, compared to only a little more than $500 million to the United States. The imbalance is what the U.S. is hoping to change. Through the C5+1 framework, President Trump and his team are pushing to create overland trade routes that bypass both Russia and China. President Trump called it a part of his strategy to reduce dependence on unreliable supply chains.
I've just completed a series of outstanding bilateral meetings with these leaders in the Oval Office to discuss our ties with this very important part of the universe. We're strengthening our economic partnerships, improving our security cooperation, and expanding our overall bonds. A tremendous amounts of trade was done just in the last little while. Lots of great products, military products and otherwise, are being bought from the United States.
Now, the meeting comes days after President Trump managed a temporary thaw with Chinese leader Xi Jinping over the export of rare earth elements. It also comes just months after Central Asian leaders attended separate meetings with both Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Russia, long the dominant player in the region going back to its Soviet days, still holds cultural and security influence, but its grip has in fact weakened since the invasion of Ukraine. China, meanwhile, has filled much of that vacuum through its Belt and Road Initiative, financing infrastructure and trade corridors that tie Central Asia closer to Beijing. And now, with the U.S. stepping in, the region has become the center of a quiet but intense competition. And while the 5 nations stand to gain from this renewed global courtship, they're also walking a very fine line where every handshake carries a price and every partnership redraws the map of influence across Eurasia.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all 3 just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.